Hey Division Agents, I'm Delta Enforcer, welcome to my channel. Today we have a solo PvE build built around the Urban MDR. I got this gun back in 1.5 and I've been messing around with it to see what works best with the unique fire rate and damage profile. In this video I'll be going over the pieces I use in the build and the reasoning behind them, as well as alternatives when playing within a group like legendary missions or incursions. Let's start off with the Urban MDR. This is my main PvE gun. On it I have Destructive, Brutal, and in the third slot I have Distracted. When I originally got this gun, it came with Swift in the first slot, and I rolled that to Destructive. And my secondary slot, I used the MP5 ST. Main reason why I run this gun is for predatory, and it is really good for dealing with rushers like the shotgunners or the shield and axe guys you have to deal with, as well as that if I'm doing more group content where I need to be able to shoot farther, what I will do is I will equip my SRS A1, which has Destructive, Brutal, and Vicious on it, and it's really good for finishing off enemies that have already been marked with the Sentry stack. In the chest slot, I use Barrett's Bulletproof Vest, mainly for the skill power and damage boost. The armor boost is great for the oh crap moments. It has health on kill, and ammo capacity. In the mod slots, I have stamina mods, and both of them have health on them. When doing harder PvE group content, I will either run Reckless Chest or Vigorous Chest. If I'm the only DPS in the group, I will run Reckless to get my DPS up, but I will hang further back. I will run Vigorous Chest if we have a dedicated healer. The chest piece has always been will always be a main stat of stamina, regardless of which piece of armor I go with. In the mask slot, I run the Sentry mask because there isn't a good high-end alternative for PvE. I have two of them. One of them has electronics main stat with enemy armor damage and damage to elites. It's used for solo PvE to get my skill power up so my first aid actually heals me. The other mask has a main stat of firearms with skill power. I use this for harder PvE content. I won't use much skill power because there will be healing stations and usually a full-time healer. In the knee pad slot, I run Sentry knee pads that have a main set of firearms. I have a stamina mod with skill power on it. The knee pads have health and damage to elites. There are only two other choices for high-end knee pads, and they're both terrible for PvE content. It's a no-brainer here. I run the Sentry backpack. It's a firearms main stat roll with stamina mod. I have health and ammo capacity on the bag. I could also run the specialized bag, but I don't want to give up my salvage gloves on my Barrett's chest. Those two items help my DPS more than a specialized bag would. The gloves I use are firearms roll savage gloves. They have assault rifle damage and critical hit chance and critical hit damage. They're pretty much the best gloves in the game outside of the MC skull gloves when you're using a 4-piece set. I have multiple pairs of the MC skull gloves and I do like them, but this build is for the Sentry 4-piece. Finally, I use the Sentry holster. I decided to re-roll the electronics on the holster to be higher instead of rolling off the haste for health. You could argue Nimble holster instead, but that would focus on survivability, and I would have to give up Barrett's chest piece or the salvage gloves to use it. For the skills, I use Overdose, First Aid Heal, and the Gas Seeker Mine mod. I use Overdose because Booster Shot is basically useless unless you have higher than 250k skill power. I use the Gas Seeker Mine because of its ability to put the disoriented status effect on most of the enemies in the area. I want to make the best use of the distracted talent on the MDR, and since the Seeker Mine takes the majority of the NPCs in the room before exploding, I can get the most use out of this skill. Compare this to the other cluster bomb mod and the airburst mod, where they explode right after they reach the first enemy. Another alternative is to running a shock or fire turret, but both of these are dependent on skill power, which this build does not have. Overall, this build is a support DPS and PvE content. With the MDR, you can't stand and trade with NPC enemies or other players running assault rifle builds in the DZ. I have found the MDR is best at the mid to long range. Think of it like at the edge of the effective range of assault rifles, where you would switch over to a sniper. The MDR fits perfectly in there. The main reason why I run this build is because of the distracted talent and the combination with the Sentry debuff. Now, a lot of people think that the Sentry debuff counts as a status effect. In fact, it does not. It's a completely separate thing. So, in theory and in practice, and you'll see in the gameplay, you can have a full Sentry stack on the enemy, get the 17% or whatever damage bonus on that enemy, and then inflict status effects on that enemy and get the additional 18% from distracted. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, let me know what you think in the comment section.
Agent on your team is down.